Something very unexpected is happening inside the Las Vegas Raiders camp, and it involves a name most fans didn't see coming, Darien Porter. The rookie cornerback has wasted no time turning heads, and what we're hearing from inside the Raiders OTAs might just shake up the depth chart. Just days after the Raiders kicked off OTAs, reporters finally got their first peek inside the facility, and what they saw raised eyebrows. Sources close to the team revealed something big. Darien Porter is already working with the first-team defense. Let that sink in. This isn't just a rookie getting reps. This is a rookie being trusted with first-team snaps, lining up alongside names like Eric Stokes and Jacorian Bennett. And it's not just token reps either. Word is, Porter looks sharp, confident, ready. It's early, of course, but the Raiders aren't just experimenting here. Look at the offensive line setup. Colton Miller at left tackle, Dylan Parham at left guard, Paris Johnson at center, Alex Kappa at right guard, and DJ Glaze at right tackle. That's a clear first-team unit, and it tells us the coaches already have a vision. And that makes Porter's spot with the starters even more significant. This coaching staff doesn't hand out starting reps unless they mean something. Mid-section YouTube promotion, natural and high quality. But before we dive deeper into this latest Raiders development, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to smash the bell icon so you never miss breaking Raiders news and behind-the-scenes insights. Now, back to today's big story. If Porter keeps up this level of performance, the Raiders' secondary could look very different by week 1. It's a position battle worth watching, and fans might be witnessing the rise of a hidden gem. Stay tuned, because if day 1 is any indication, Darien Porter isn't just making the team, he's gunning for a starting spot. The buzz around the Las Vegas Raiders training camp is only getting louder, because rookie Darien Porter is not just showing up, he's standing out, and he's doing it against serious competition. Porter has been locking in first-team reps, and that alone speaks volumes. This isn't a test run, it's a signal. Coaches are trusting him with primetime snaps, and he's holding his own. Sources inside the facility say Porter has been solid in coverage, especially in off-man situations. No deep plays given up, no touchdowns surrendered. And while he hasn't snagged an interception just yet, his ability to break on the ball has impressed observers. That's not just talent, that's NFL-level instincts. Veteran Eric Stokes is also drawing praise, while Jacorian Bennett is widely expected to lock down one of the starting outside corner spots. Bennett's a known quantity now, but the real story is whether Porter can push his way past the depth chart noise and claim a starting job by week 1. As for the safety positions, there's a surprise brewing. Jeremy Chin appears to be sliding into that downhill box roll safety, bringing speed and physicality to the secondary. But the shocker? Isaiah Polamau is currently running as the starting free safety. That could change in the coming weeks, but for now, he's the man back deep. And let's be clear, these aren't throwaway reps. The Raiders are testing these guys under real pressure, real competition, and real expectations. The story developing around Darien Porter feels a lot like Jacorian Bennett's rookie emergence 2 camps ago. Quiet at first, then suddenly undeniable. And if things keep trending this way, Porter might just be the next breakout name Raiders Nation needs to know. Sometimes all a player needs is a shot, and Darien Porter is making the most of his. The Las Vegas Raiders are tossing him into the fire, just like they did with Jacorian Bennett not long ago. But this time, the results might be even better. A year ago, Bennett was thrust into the starting lineup by Patrick Graham. It was a bold move, and though the speed of the NFL was a bit too much initially, he eventually settled in and flashed real talent. Now, he's on the verge of a breakout. Fast forward to today, and it's Darien Porter who's being tested early. The Raiders coaching staff isn't easing him in. They're lining him up with the first team and giving him every chance to prove he belongs. There's a reason for that. Porter is a Pete Carroll favorite, and that matters. With the Raiders shifting to a more zone-heavy scheme this year, Porter's skill set fits perfectly. That puts him ahead of guys like Cameron Richardson, who may still need time to adapt. But here's the wild card. Porter is raw. At Iowa State, he played fewer than 750 career snaps. That's a small sample size. Yet in that time, he flashed rare athleticism, 4.3 speed, a 6'3 frame, and serious instincts in zone coverage. Pro Football Focus graded him as one of the top zone corners in college football, and the tape backs it up. This is the kind of storyline you watch closely in camp. If Porter was buried on the third team, it would be cause for concern, but that's not the case. He's already taking high-value reps, and coaches are watching every snap. The big question now, can he develop fast enough to lock down a starting job by week 1? So far, the signs are promising. And if he continues trending up, the Las Vegas Raiders may have found a hidden gem ready to anchor their secondary. Something unexpected is brewing in the trenches for the Las Vegas Raiders, and it starts with a new name stepping into a new role, Caleb Rogers, at left guard. During a recent practice, Rogers and tackle Dalton Wagner pulled off a textbook zone block that left defensive lineman Charles Grant on the turf. The play stood out, not just because of the result, but because of what it says about this revamped Raiders offensive line. It appeared to be an outside zone run, with the line flowing to the right. Despite lining up on the left side, Rogers and Wagner executed their responsibilities with precision. Rogers punched out the defensive tackle, likely a 3 technique, with his inside hand, setting the edge for Wagner to take over. Wagner then sealed the block beautifully, getting across the defender's face and knocking him to the ground. This isn't just a highlight block, it's a statement. Rogers, who's relatively new to the left guard spot, is showing real promise. His ability to get depth, maintain leverage, and pass off defenders in a zone concept is something the Raiders coaching staff will definitely take notice of. If Rogers can hold down that left guard spot and keep stacking plays like this, he could lock up a starting role much sooner than expected. And with Wagner showing strength at tackle, the Raiders' run game might quietly be forming into one of the team's more reliable units. The development of these 2 young linemen is something to watch closely as the offseason unfolds. In the gritty world of trench warfare, this kind of chemistry and physicality can tilt a game in your favor. The Raiders' offensive line isn't just shuffling bodies, it's quietly brewing a full-blown competition, and rookie Caleb Rogers may be more involved than anyone expected. On one particular outside zone rep, Rogers showcased more than just raw power. After executing the initial double team on the defensive tackle, he had to make a quick read. The linebacker flowed over the top of the play, forcing Rogers to climb to the second level and seal him off. That's exactly what he did. This is textbook zone blocking. Stretch the defense horizontally and force defenders to chase. One mistake, one defender getting out of his gap, and Ashton Jeanty could be gone for 6. And in this case, when a defender slipped, that cutback lane opened up perfectly. That's the kind of rep coaches replay in the film room. What's most surprising? Rogers lined up at left guard, a spot no one expected him to play this early. As a rookie, moving between line positions is no small task, but it might signal something bigger: uncertainty around the current depth chart. A source close to the team noted something important. Dylan Parham may not have the left guard job locked in. In fact, he believes Alex Kappa has all but secured the starting right guard spot, leaving Parham's role up in the air. That opened the door for both Jordan Meredith and Rogers to take first-team snaps. Meredith saw the bulk of them, but late in practice, Rogers also lined up with the starters at left guard. Rogers might be raw, but his reps show promise, and in a room that's clearly still being sorted out, that could be all he needs to force his way into the conversation. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture with Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant. 2 rookies drafted back-to-back, but with very different roles in the Raiders' plans. The Raiders had the chance to pick Charles Grant at 98, just one spot before they chose Caleb Rogers. But they went with Rogers first, then Grant. This wasn't an accident. It's a clear message. The team values Rogers a bit more, and that's important when you're watching how these 2 battle it out this season. Now, it's not guaranteed that either Rogers or Grant will start right away. But if one of them earns a starting job, odds are it'll be the guy the Raiders invested in earlier, Rogers. Of course, if Grant ends up being much better on the field, that changes things. But the Raiders' thinking seems to be that the left guard spot is wide open. They aren't sold on Dylan Parham or Jordan Meredith holding down left guard long term. So they brought in Rogers, who's already been announced as a guard and seen as a potential long-term starter. Meanwhile, Alex Kappa, who came with a 2-year deal, looks like a solid option for right guard, especially since John Spytek, the Raiders' offensive line coach, has worked with him before in Tampa Bay. That connection matters, so the Raiders are basically throwing these three into a fight for the left guard spot: Parham, Meredith, and Rodgers. And it's worth noting, Rodgers was a right tackle in college, so this is a new challenge for him, showing the team's belief in his versatility and upside. Caleb Rodgers still has to master the left guard stance. It's not an easy switch from playing right tackle in college, but if he settles in and looks good, he's likely to take over that job. The chances of Dylan Parham sticking around after this season are basically zero. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's cut even before the regular season starts, right after training camp cuts. If Caleb Rodgers shows promise, Parham might be out, especially with Jordan Meredith, Alex Kappa, and some other guard options like Will Putnam in the mix. The Raiders clearly believe Rodgers could take over the left guard spot within 6 to 12 months, maybe even sooner. That's why they're moving him from right tackle to left guard. It's all about setting him up to be a long-term starter. This also sheds light on what's happening with Charles Grant. If he doesn't start at right tackle this season, he'll at least compete there. And if he can't secure that spot, there's a good chance he could move to right guard, especially if he's better than Alex Kappa, which seems likely. So, Caleb Rodgers and Charles Grant probably won't be playing on the same side of the line. Worst case for Grant is playing right guard for a year or two while developing, with hopes of returning to right tackle later. That's a lot to take in, but hopefully you're following along. The Raiders are really shaking up their offensive line this season. Let's talk about one last interesting player the Raiders brought in this season, Laki Tazi, number 79. This guy is an absolute monster, 6 feet 6.5 inches tall and weighs 350 pounds. He's pretty raw right now, but has huge potential. When he first signed, people thought he'd play defensive tackle, but that's changing. The Raiders are actually developing him to play on the right side of the offensive line, most likely at right guard. It's unusual but promising. Think of Jordan Mailata, another raw player from the International Pathway program. He started off really rough, but after a few years developing behind Jason Peters, Mailata became one of the best left tackles in the NFL. Laki Tazi might follow a similar path. Tazi is considered positionless because he doesn't have much football experience yet, but he's been training mostly on the interior offensive line. What makes this really interesting is his movement. For a guy his size, he's quick and agile, which is rare. Movement is the most important skill for offensive linemen, especially tackles. Look at Jackson Power Johnson compared to Dylan Parham. Both are fast, but Power Johnson is bigger, stronger, and still moves incredibly well. When the Raiders signed Colt Miller, his quick movement showed immediate potential. The same thing applies to Tazi. He might switch back to defense, but right now, the Raiders seem focused on developing him as an offensive lineman. Nothing's guaranteed. He might struggle or bust. But this story is exciting. It will be interesting to see what he becomes. Let me show you some key players. Here's Charles Grant, number 72, and Jackson Power Johnson, number 60. Both these guys are huge. If you saw the video with Paris Johnson and Ashton Gentry, you know how much bigger Paris Johnson is. Well, Charles Grant is just as big, if not bigger, than Paris Johnson. He might not be as thick, but with his 6 feet 5.5 inches height and 35-inch arms, he's definitely built to be an offensive tackle. We also see other players like number 84 and tight end Brock Bowers, number 89. Honestly, I don't even know the tight end coach, but it's cool to see the team coming together. We also have some shots of Laki Tazi and Ashton Gentry. There's a lot of information coming out as the offseason progresses. We have to remember, it all starts with OTAS, Organized Team Activities, which begin in April. Let me know what you think. Drop a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time with more updates.